Okay. Let me just check and make sure we live over here on YouTube. And
All
then we
right.
can get.
And that way we give all our viewers an opportunity to join on.
Yes. Just like a minute or two. Take
Mm-hmm.
them. I'm not seeing it up there yet. Okay, there we go. All right. We live.
Yes.
Okay, it is 4 o'clock. So we gonna get into it. Mm, yes, we got a good one today. It's 4 o'clock. So whether you tuning in with us right now, you catching it live, or you gonna get the playback, just let us know that you're here. Like, comment, subscribe, and join the conversation. And as always, we want to welcome you to the Discovery Within podcast, where we explore the depths of self-discovery and personal development. I am your host, Tiarra Denise.
And I'm your co-host, LJ the Peacemaker. And this is episode 8, which we're super excited about. And in this episode, we're going to be dispelling the myth that in order to impact the world, you have to put everyone and everything before yourself. Because to save the world, you have to save self.
That's right.
So let's get into it. We always got a whole lot to say. So
Yes.
soak up this value.
Can you believe it's episode 8? We 8 episodes in now.
It's it's amazing. It's really amazing because it's like it just all started from a conversation, and look, here we are.
Yes, I be telling people, yeah, I met LJ on TikTok. Now we doing a podcast together. But yes, that's beautiful. Like, I'm
It is.
excited for tonight's conversation because I feel like it's well needed. But before we get into all that, I just want to address the name change. I know
Yes,
usually when I come on here and introduce us, I say Coach T, but I have dropped the name Coach T and I now go by Tiarra Denise. We ain't gonna get into all that right now, but later on, as the conversation progresses, I'll kind of slide in there why I decided to make that change because I feel like it really goes with tonight's conversation. So we're gonna get into it. Y'all see the title of it: "Saving Yourself Saves the World," and that's
that's
period.
right.
We would put a period right there, but we gonna talk about it. We're gonna
Right. We put the period at the end of the episode.
Yeah, I mean, even though it should just be you save the world by saving self, period, we're going to get into it. We're going to talk about it because this is
Right.
a topic that not only is for, like, we come on here, we have these conversations, we get people to join in, and it's for, the world. But I like to say that these conversations are to us as well. Like, they
Yes.
have it's not just for the outside world. When we have these conversations, we talking about ourselves, but I think this is going to be like a deep one because what I've been observing these past few weeks and with myself and the things I'm seeing others, I see how a lot of people just sacrifice, and by self-sacrificing they think that they're doing a good thing because they're putting other people before them, they're helping people, doing all these acts of kindness or whatever you want to call it. But then when it's not given to them in return, I'm seeing how people will react, and they'll have resentment towards others, or they may act out and now they're not fulfilled because they feel like they're not being poured back into the way that they're pouring into people. So that's why I'll be having this conversation to, like, just shed light on how instead of saving the world, everybody outside of you, making sure everybody is good, make sure you're good first before you're going out there and you trying to be Captain Saver, garden tool.
A poop.
Okay. But yes, make sure you saving yourself. You putting yourself first before you're just going out there, because we've been conditioned to just think that we're supposed to save the world. You got to do for people. You can't be selfish. Because I know I was raised with that. I was raised with,
Mhm.
people telling me you can't be selfish. You're so selfish. You hear that a lot, and then you think that being selfish is a bad thing. But it's like, when you're not selfish, like when you're not putting all that time, that energy, that into yourself, and you're just giving so much to people, it's like you're robbing yourself in a way. But when you got all these people in your ear and how you come up and stuff, you really don't even take care of yourself the way that you should, because you've been taught that you can't be selfish. And
Right.
it just, we here to just change that. We here to change that trajectory, because I know once I started my self discovery journey, that's when I finally realized that, you know what, T, you can't you can't save nobody. I mean, you look at the world and you look at your family, your friends, you see, where they may be falling short or where they may need help, and then you just want to come in and save the day, however that may look. But sometimes I know for me on my journey, I'm a person that feels a lot. So when I see my loved ones or like in some type of need, I want to be there. But then I realized that I was being there for others, and I didn't get that same energy in return. So it turned me bitter.
Right.
I had resentment, because it's like I'm always self-sacrificing myself, because this is what I've been told. Nobody ever told me why, like a good reason for why I should be doing this. It's like, well, dang, what about me? I know I'm steady doing for people, but hey, what about me?
Right.
And so it took
Right.
me being on my journey to just realize, you got to put up that cape. You can't save the world. You save the world by saving yourself, and that's where I'm at with it.
I mean, I fully agree. I think you're absolutely right. I feel like the teachings that, we're taught growing up and that the world imposes on us are upside down. You know what I mean? Scripture says, love your neighbor like you love yourself. Therefore, if you don't got love for self, then you don't know how to love your neighbor. I don't care what you're calling it. You could be calling it helping, you could be calling it giving. If you're neglecting yourself, then
Yep.
whatever it is you're doing is coming from a strange place. You know what I'm saying? So ultimately, you're not helping your neighbor. And so it's like we really have to understand that what we've been taught to call selfish is really taking care of yourself, acknowledging yourself. Because if you're not okay, how can you be of service to anyone ultimately? You know what I mean? That's like, if I'm not in the right mind state, how can I give a positive word to somebody in need?
Yep.
How can I show up at my best? And also, especially on this self discovery journey, once you begin to really decide, okay, I'm going to change my life, I'm going to go after what I want, I'm going to heal, or whatever it is that's, your focal point on this journey, you start realizing, hold up a second, can't nobody do this work for me. So I got to really focus on me. So I commit. So I day in and day out keep putting the work in. And then you start realizing, wait, if nobody could do this for me, then that means I can't do it for them neither. So what I thought was me helping them ultimately is allowing them to not do the work for themselves. Is me thinking, okay, me doing this one act of kindness is going to change their life, when only they can do it, because only we can save ourselves. So it's up to us to really know that and to
Mhm.
own it. And I mean, I know for myself, I work diligently on myself, like hard. And it's like I show up, I talk, and sometimes people are like, wow, you're so confident. Wow, you speak so well. And it's like, thank you, to God be the glory. You have no idea the work, like the work. You know what I mean? And not that they need to know, because it's really not their business, but it's like, this is not just by accident. It's all intentional, and it all comes from pouring into myself. Because if I didn't pour into myself to the extreme that I am, I would not have none of this to pour out. And that's really what it all comes down to. We've all heard that saying, you can't pour from an empty cup. So you got to fill up your cup. and then you could pour into others. You know, another popular one is the one about the airplane. When the oxygen mask come on down on the airplane, you got to put your mask on first, then you can put other people's masks on. You know what I mean? So it's really
Mhm.
like, if you don't make sure you good, then you can't make sure nobody else is good.
You
Simple
can't.
as that.
Like while you were saying that, it just the thought that came in my mind was choose your battles wisely. Because I
Mm,
know me and like my experiences with trying to be there for other people, taking on like that savior kind of role. It's like I'm here, I'm fighting everybody's battles. I'm trying to make sure this person is good, this person is good. Because you think by doing that, those acts of kindness or whatever you think doing that, that's going to yield some type of, I don't know, whatever. And that's the mentality that a lot of us have. Like, you just got to do for people, you got to do. And it's like, what are you doing for yourself? Because if you're so invested into doing for others and being there for others, it's like you're in a way fighting their battle. Because it's like you said, you're robbing them of doing the work that they need to do. Because how you feel or think their life should go, that's not how reality is. You have no control over nobody else's life and how they should go about it. So if somebody is making decisions that you don't think may be right for them, it's not up to you to try to fix that and pinpoint all of that in them. That person has to make a conscious effort and decision to, change the trajectory of their own life. So if you just all over here and you looking at everybody else what they're doing because you think you're good, you really are neglecting yourself and the work that you should be doing for yourself. It's like, how
right.
can you even focus on yourself if you're so wrapped up into what's going on in your outside world? So it's like when you get to that point where you just put that cake down and you like, you know what? I got to take care of me for a change. You gonna have those people in your outside environment that's not gonna like it, and that's okay because that's a them problem. But when you start walking this path for yourself and you put your 2 feet on the ground, put one foot under the other, and you walk your journey and you do the work you're supposed to be doing for yourself, you ain't even gonna be thinking about nobody else's problems because you're gonna be able
Right.
to realize all that work and time and energy that you wasted trying to pour into other people. Now your cup is empty. You don't pour all your water out, your cup empty. Now it's on you to refill it. Cause now you ain't got nobody filling you up because you don't gave all your water away. It's like just giving yourself away freely and you ain't receiving no type of return of interest or anything on it. So that's like a big step for a person to take to have courage to say, you know what, I'm gonna choose myself. And however that may look like for me, I'm gonna do it wholeheartedly. And whoever I have to disappoint on the way and process, that's just gonna be what it is. Cause shoot, I gotta get me. And that's the mentality that you have to have when you're on the self-discovery journey. It's about self,
Right.
about going within. It's about doing that work because that internal work, that's the work that's being done behind the scenes. Because it's like you said, everybody don't even get to see that work. They just get to see like the after effects, the outer things like, oh, you're confident, you're this, you're that. You like, do you know the work that comes with this? I wasn't always like this.
Right. And even now, sometimes before
Yes.
starting, I'm nervous. I say a quick prayer. I'm like, all right.
Yes. Like, yeah, you forget, like, I'm on a journey too. I'm on a journey too. And while we're on it, I will address like the name change for me, like the Coach T name. Because with my journey, ever since starting my self-discovery journey, like just with I found myself a savior to people and I had to get to that point where I had to put that cake down because a lot of people were counting on me. I know I inspire people. I know there are some people that look up to me. Like it became like a hold on me. And it's like it was holding me back because I wanted to be there for so many people. And when I got my coaching certification, I was excited about that. I always wanted to be a life coach. And so when I got the opportunity to do it, I'm excited about it. But I learned that, by experience, what comes with that is you may have people out here who are expecting you to just transform their lives completely and just make their lives whole, make them feel whole or whatever. And I just told myself, I'm like, ooh, that's a big responsibility. That's a huge responsibility. You're gonna put your life in my hands. And so I knew that, you know, on this journey, like going through my own transformation, because I'm on a journey as well. I had to learn that, you know what, I'm not here to save nobody. Yes, I'm a coach. But they're saying I can lead you to the water, but I can't make you drink it. I can give you the tools. I can help you write a blueprint. I can show you a way, but I am not the way. I don't want people to look at me as if I am their leader. I'm no one's leader. I'm an apple. I know that I am a leader, but I'm a leader of my life. I'm not here to lead anybody else's life. I'm here to guide you, but it's essentially up to you to do the work. I can give you the tools. I can give you a blueprint, but it's going to be up to you execute. It's going to be up to you to put one foot in front of the other and walk that walk. It's only so much I can do. And, as I'm going on my journey, I reinvent myself. As I discover more and more things about myself, the titles they don't mean nothing to me. Like I'm a person just like you are. I'm Tiarra Denise. And that's just how we gonna flow with that. I'm Tiarra Denise. Yes, I am a self-discovery coach. Yes, I am a human design explorer and guide. But I'm still a human. I'm still a person. I'm still on a journey as well. I am a leader, but I am not your leader. It's up to you to be the leader of your own life. And so we at with that. Getting you to see that you are your own leader. And that's what the self-discovery journey is about. Being the leader of your own life, being your own hero, shiro, whatever you want to call it.
Right. I mean, that's very powerful, everything you said. And it's the truth. First of all, like, we all have to accept that us trying to put our life in somebody else's hand. Well, I'm gonna say this from this vantage point at this stage in my journey, because maybe at an earlier point I was doing the same thing, trying to find a savior. You know what I mean? But from this place, I'm like, that is utter foolishness. I'll be damned if I'm putting my life in somebody else's hands. Like, you got me all the way messed up. Like, not today. So, I really just want to say to the viewers, like, that's not the way. You know what I mean? Look at how people are moving. Everybody is learning. Everybody's on their own journey, whether it's an intentional discovery journey or whether they just banging into stuff, figuring it out. They don't know what you should be doing. You know what I mean? They barely know what they should be doing. And I mean, for us, we're figuring out what we're doing. We don't got it all together. We don't know all the answers. So, it's never a place for you to put your life in somebody else's hands.
Right.
We have to, come to a place where we're willing to learn ourselves, to know how we work, how we function, what works best for us. And ultimately, that's the only way that we can become confident. Because it's like the confidence and the certainty, and even like you said, being willing to change the name, drop the coach C, because that's your right. You know what I mean? And you being able to do that comes from you listening to yourself, you embarking on this self-discovery journey, you getting to know yourself better so that you're confident in who you are. You're like, this is my life. I can do what I want.
That's right.
Yeah. And that's really what it comes down to, getting to that place of empowerment, recognizing that, wait a second, I am the leader of my life. I do get to make the choices that I want. And it's that degree of self-leadership that inspires other people. That's what people actually like. That's what, makes you seem appealing, is because they see, whoa, it's something different about her, not just following the crowd or just people pleasing. Because ultimately, when we're just trying to accommodate what other people think, that just results in you getting walked all over. Yep. And I mean, I could attest to that throughout most of my life, because I've always had a genuine concern for people. But, in my own pain and suffering, the way I was attempting to help people was very distorted. it was, it was so they would like me, or so they would think I was good enough, or so they would review, like, regard me in such a high way or something like that. You know what I mean? So ultimately that was me finding my self-worth in other people's opinions. And then what about when they wasn't there? What about when I had a crisis? What about when I really needed help? Nobody had nothing for me because I
Right.
was the one helping everybody. You know what I mean? Who did I lean on? Who did I go to? And it was like, I had to really recognize that it's God. Like, that's who you need to go to, because everybody else is trying to lean on you.
Yep.
And ultimately, we are not made to bear the weight of everybody else. In relationships, it needs to be a give and take. I lean on you sometimes you lean on me, and a back and forth type of thing. Otherwise, it becomes unbalanced, and somebody's
Hmm.
going to get tired, resentful, upset, and it's just not going to work, because that's not a healthy dynamic. you know um but as you were speaking, what came to mind too, what I'm learning now, is like always wanting, and granted, I have a natural desire to help people, but there's a fine line between wanting to constantly help people and being nosy. Like, mind your business. You know what I mean? Let
Yeah.
them do what they doing, because we all had to make our own mistakes. I
Yeah.
know this path that I've walked has not been easy. I made many a mistake, and I had to make them. That was part of my life, and I'm still making mistakes. So they got to make their own mistakes. Those are some of our best teachers, when we bang into a few things or fall down or have to feel those growing pains. And so it's for us to respect each person's journey and whatever their process is. You know what I mean? Not for us to get so attached to what we think is going on, because you really don't know where somebody's at in proximity to what their goal is, what their life purpose is. You know what I mean? That's of a spiritual nature. And so ultimately, we need to learn to mind our freaking
Hmm.
business.
All I heard when you was talking was boundaries, boundaries, boundaries. Because once you step in it, you put both feet in the self discovery path. Yeah, you're gonna start to exercise your boundaries, because you're gonna have to, because it's a self discovery journey. You're getting to know yourself on a deeper level, and as you get to know yourself on a deeper level, you get to know who you are not. You get to see,
Mm.
and you discover all the things and the ways and ideas that were imposed on you. You get to see which ideas were yours and which ones were not. Because I know for me, the whole savior thing, that was imposed upon me. That role was imposed upon me. And it's like you said, you can't impose your will upon somebody else. You got to allow people to live their life in a way that they want to do it. So that's what self discovery is all about. It's not you walking the path of how somebody else did it. Yes, we have different leaders, mentors, whatever, people that came before us, but those people had their own purpose, they had their own path. They were here to show you a way, not the way. So the whole savior thing, this person may have felt like they needed to be there for everybody. They needed to save someone. And that's granted, if that's what you want to do, you can handle it, you capable, ain't no sweat off your back, go ahead. But don't come over here imposing that on nobody else and telling, well, this is how you should live. Because it's like somebody else is giving you the blueprint for your life instead of you discovering what it is, how you want to live for yourself. Because when you're living by somebody else's book, that's when that resentment comes, because you're out here fulfilling roles and duties that you really don't want to do deep down, but because it's been embedded in your mind from a young age that this is the way, and this is the way you should go, this is how you should be there for people, you shouldn't be selfish. That stuff gets embedded in you, and that's how you go on with your journey. But as you grow, it's like yourself is calling you, true self is really calling you, but you're at like a battle with yourself. So when you're battling yourself, you don't really know what's what. You in a state of confusion. You
Right.
think you're living for yourself. You think you're living, but you're not. So that's why when you walk this path, you're going to see that it can be quite lonely. It can be quite lonely because it's going to require you to do the thinking. It's going to require you to be the decision maker. It's going to require you to write the blueprint out. You can't have nobody else doing it for you. It's big shoes to fill. But when it's like you ain't never really had that and you don't really know your way, it gets uncomfortable for people to do the work. And I have this conversation a lot because I notice it, see it all the time. Most people run from themselves. So don't have to deal with the work that it requires to put into self. So they think by, oh, I did this for this person. I helped them out. I showed them this. But it's like, but behind closed doors, you got your own battles that you have your own. You just ignoring them because you focused over here on helping other people. And now you're just fully neglecting yourself. But it's like, what about you? What about that work that you have to put in for yourself? Because when you get serious about you fixing your life, your journey, and the direction that you're trying to go, you're not even going to be thinking about what nobody else is saying. You ain't even going to think about their opinion. You're going to drop everything and you're going to figure out, what do I want for myself? And then that's just how that's going to flow. But it's going to take courage. It's going to take courage, and you're going to have to learn how to enforce boundaries with your loved ones, because that's where it starts, with your family and stuff. And then you go out into the world, even with business, career, whatever the case may be, it has to start somewhere. You have to express your boundaries, because what I've seen on my own journey is the moments where I really want to just pour into myself, and I may not be feeling a lot of social interaction and stuff, and I know it's a time for me to sit with myself, get my mind right, pour into me and feel because I feel you can feel when your cup is running low.
Mm-hmm.
You have those people that come in and see you, but they come so urgent, like they just need you, and oh, you got to do this right now, and then you have to be bold enough to tell them people, look, I hear you and I feel you, but I can't do nothing for you. And sometimes you have to keep it just that simple. And sometimes no is a complete sentence.
Right.
Somebody come up asking you, I want you to do this, no. And then they ask you why. You don't even have to give a reason. No is a complete sentence. Exercise your boundaries without having to explain yourself or feeling like you need to explain yourself to make somebody else feel secure. You're supposed to feel secure within yourself and on your path. It's not your job to make another person feel secure. That's an inside job.
Right.
And you don't get paid for that. You'll pay, but you will pay. You will pay. Your energy will be drained. All of that. Your time will be wasted when you're not putting your focus where it needs to be. So be mindful.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it's something, because you say you will pay for that, and you'll keep paying and paying and paying, because it'll never be enough, because that is an inside job.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's like what you were mentioning about, people coming to you and they have such an urgent need, and this is they need things right now and this and that. And when you feel like you're not up to it, it's like I had to come to a place where I realized ain't nothing urgent. Are you dying? No? Okay, then I can wait. Like, it could wait. I could go sit and take a few breaths or collect myself before I do anything, and that's something that I had to really learn. Like, nothing is that urgent. If I don't feel okay, I need a second. You know what I mean? And it's like I'm constantly practicing that, especially with regards to like all this cell phones, technology, social media, things like that, because they're constantly trying to interrupt our time, and interrupt our focus and everything that we're doing. So I know for my notifications for social media, I don't have those on. I see what you said when I get on there. Otherwise, it's too disruptive. I'm over here doing my daily practices, living life in a whole other frame of mind. And it's like, it's important for us to recognize that nothing is that urgent. It really isn't. Unless it's life or death, it's really not that urgent. And it can wait. you're the priority, and it's for you to make sure you're okay. And that even with texting, I'll hear my phone, I'm in the middle of something, and oftentimes I have to implement self-control. I'm like, you do not need to stop what you're doing to go run and see that. You will be done with this in 5 minutes, and then you go check. But it requires a certain measure of self-control, because it's like, you feel the impulse. You want to see what people are saying, who's checking for you, oh, who needs something, oh, maybe it's a crisis, the end of the world. It's like, trust me, it ain't. And if it is, it'll still be that in 5 minutes. Like, so it can wait. And you need to make sure that you're okay, and that your priority is yourself, and not put anything else before that. And the thing is, it's like, especially when you have a heart that wants to give and wants to help others, you are lessening your impact by not taking care of yourself and pouring into yourself. Because imagine if you're at 3/4 of a tank and you're able to help 5 people, how many people can you impact when you on full? You know what I mean? It's like the magnitude would just increase. And it's for us to really, really realize that. Because don't nobody really want your halfway help. They might, they might want it in their own mind, but it's like, no, nobody really wants that. Because that's something I had to learn as well. I always felt like, oh, I always show up for people. And then once I started healing and stuff, it was like, you be showing up tired, you be showing up grouchy, you be showing up like, you know what I mean, a nervous wreck or frazzled because you was rushing on one. It's like, don't nobody want none of that. Stop. And not even that, whether they want it or not, I don't want none of that. That's not how I want to show up. And it's like, I really had to come to a place where I had to assess that. Who am I? Who do I want to be? I don't want to be this. I don't want to be going places when I don't really want to be there. Like, what is the point of that? Who am I helping, and who's benefiting from that? You know what I'm saying? It's like, people can feel that. People can sense when you're not all the way in. So why do something if you're not all the way in? Because then you're just putting weird energy on it. And ultimately, we got to assess, who do we want to be? What kind of person do I want to be? I want to be somebody who's honest, with integrity, trustworthy. So with that, I need to be able to say no and speak my truth when it's necessary. Otherwise, then I'm full of shit and I'm lying. You know what I mean? It's really simple as that.
Yeah. But something that's crazy, because I was just thinking about it. Like, just to hear someone call someone selfish for prioritizing their self, I think that's crazy. You gotta think about this. Just think about this. You're saying that I'm selfish if I'm prioritizing myself over others. Yet, like, for someone else to expect me to be their beck and call and make sure that their need is fulfilled and I'm pouring into them, and I ain't got none left for myself. Which one is really selfish? Which one is really selfish? You gotta look at life vice versa sometimes. Like, sometimes, because what that taught me is the things that we were taught that were, they say were bad, for me, turned out to actually be the good things. Because now I'm like, a little selfishness. Nothing wrong with it. And we see it so much, and so many people, they beat up on themselves for, not being there for others and stuff. And I know, like, for me, because I work with single mothers and stuff, and something that I see with them a lot is feeling like they have to constantly show up and be there for their kids. And you should. But it's like to hear a mother say, oh, my child comes first. My child comes before me. Okay. That's okay. That statement is a little controversial between, some people. But for me, I come first.
Right.
I come first, because if I'm not taking care of myself, my mental, my emotional, my spiritual, financial, all that comes with me, how can my child benefit from me? How can my child get the mother they need if I'm not putting me first?
Right.
It just doesn't make sense. You cannot pour from an empty cup. And that leads me into saying, like, how when you prioritize self-care, it actually has a real effect. When you're well taken care of, you're prioritizing yourself, everybody else, they get the benefits of that. That comes with that. And
Right.
then as they see you pouring into yourself, depending on where they are in on their journey, they'll look at that as an example and like, look, you seem happy, and you're teaching them how to put themselves first, and you're teaching them how to be their own hero. You're teaching them how to show up for themselves, because you got to understand, some people, like, they're not going to always be there with you. The only person that's going to be with you for the rest of your life is you.
Right.
Nobody else. So before you go out here trying to save the world and trying to be there for everybody else, make sure you being there for you, because you can't be in all them places at one time. And and if you know the work that you put in behind closed doors on yourself, would you try to go and fix someone else's life and take control of that and impose your will upon them because you feel like they should be at a certain spot or whatever in their life? No, you put that focus on you, because that inner work, you're here for you. This is your journey. You can't walk if you're not first doing your duties, your obligations, responsibilities to yourself.
Right.
That's just something that I always think about, like going back in time, like we were taught some stuff.
Absolutely.
We
Absolutely.
gotta flip some of this stuff that we was taught, because that wasn't it. And so I'm glad though that I went through those things, because now what I've learned from experience, now I can teach my son.
Right.
Baby, you ain't here to save nobody. Take care of yourself. And everybody else, they'll take care of themselves. That's their job. It's not your job to be here just solely giving yourself up for free and sacrificing yourself, thinking that it's going to help someone else. And then now you've neglected yourself. I don't want him to learn that. And I feel like a lot of people are still stuck in that mindset that they have to be, that they can't be selfish. But it's like, who's taking care of you?
Right. Right. I mean, that's a major question that we have to ask ourselves, because we're thinking that we're helping and taking care of others. So therefore, that means we think people need to be taken care of. But then who's taking care of you? When's your turn? When's your time? And I know as a parent in particular, it's so important that we recognize that we're modeling these behaviors to our children. So if
Yeah.
you don't take care of yourself, what you're teaching your children is that that's how they should be treating themselves, not taking care of themselves. And I mean, I know for myself, my parents always worked very hard, very, very hard working, good work ethic is what they called it. But now it's like, no, that taught me you work yourself to death. And so that's the behavior that I was modeling. And then as a single parent, I came face to face with having to understand that I have to put me first. I became very ill trying to carry all this stress, all these burdens. And it was like, listen, you keep saying your kids come first, but if you don't make yourself the priority, your kids ain't going to have no mother. Like, so you need to be first. And it's like I was forced to have to put myself first, forced
Yep.
to have to limit my stress, forced to have to be like, no, kids, I can't. Like, and realizing, oh, what? Nobody's dying because of that? Because I said no. Oh, wait, the world is still going on. Oh, the kids are still laughing and smiling? Really? Wow. It's like, yeah, the world will keep going on. Everybody will be all right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's like we create these ideas in our mind, like I have to, oh, I can't not be there for this person or this and that. They will figure out another way. And I mean, granted, our children, they need us, so there's certain responsibilities that we do have to tend to, but that doesn't mean that we should be neglecting ourselves, because it's only doing harm to both ourselves and to our children. But with regard to grown folks, they will figure out a way, just like we
Mm-hmm.
got to figure out our way. They got to figure it out too. And it's okay for us to say no and for us to set those boundaries. Actually, it's very important. And I mean, it really comes down to self-respect. Do you respect yourself? And if you're not able to respect yourself, then you are not able to respect others, because that's what makes us want to infringe on other people's choices and their decisions, thinking that we know better, and at the end of the day, we don't want them telling us what to do. And ultimately, us being too involved in other people's lives is us trying to tell them what to do, sticking our nose where it doesn't belong. So we really have to understand that there needs to be a boundary between ourselves and the outside world, because our main responsibility is what's going on in here.
Yep.
Out there, we can't control it. We have absolutely no control of that, not of the weather, not of circumstances, and not of other people. And it's for us to do our best and manage effectively what we do have control of, which is ourselves, how we behave, how we treat ourselves, and the life that we're living. The person that we are, that's what we have absolute control of. So it's like we really need to recognize, okay, if I want to be a good person per se, because what does that even mean? You know what I mean? That's so like relative. On this side, they think you're good. Over there, they like you this and that. So whatever. But I mean, we want to be the type of person who's responsible and who does the right thing and who's, a go-getter or whatever it is, whatever characteristics you want to possess. That requires you honing in on the aspects of yourself that are not that and working diligently to improve them or to remove them or to modify them. And that only comes from you being selfish, so to speak. You got to be paying attention to yourself. You got to be that aware of yourself. You got to spend that much time with yourself. You got to be looking at yourself. And you can't do that when you out here trying to do but so much for other people. It just doesn't work. You know what I mean? There's not enough hours in the day and you don't got enough energy for it. So it's like this selfish piece is what allows you to really become the best of who you are and to discover who you were really meant to be.
Yep. There is power in minding your business.
Yes.
And by minding your business, we mean minding self. That's what we talking about, minding self. Because I know on my journey, once I really fully stepped into it wholeheartedly being selfish and unapologetic about it, because you have to be unapologetic about it, because people gonna talk about you. They gonna call you even more selfish and probably some more names. But that's okay. Like you said, the world ain't ending. They'll be all right. You get to a point where you just say, I'm gonna mind my business. So when people come up to you, they come bringing their problems to you, they come dropping their baggage on you. You just sit there like, okay, what are you gonna do about that?
Right.
And that's my response to people for real, because I used to be one of those people that allowed people to just come in and dump all their stuff on me, dump your traumas. It's like I had a basket or something. Like, all right, y'all, come on in, dump all your stuff on me. That's literally who I used to be. Dump it on me, and then when it's all over, I'm sitting around, I'm pouting,
Right.
I'm upset, I'm drained. But that was my fault. I welcomed it in. I didn't exercise no type of boundaries. Yeah, anybody, it didn't matter who you was, just come to me and dump it all on me. And then once you dump it on me, come back and dump some more. And when you get done with that, come back and dump some more. And it's like it came like a cycle for me. It's like I'm allowing people to dump on me, and then now they ain't even making no type of changes. There's no solution. And so I'm sitting there like this. Now like this at this point, because now the resentment don't set in, the frustration. And it's like when you don't exercise those boundaries and stand firm on it without explanation, that's when you blow up. And that's what I was doing. I was blowing up on people in the end. Because it's like, man, what you gonna do? I got my own problems. I can't even focus on my problems because I'm allowing you to come dump yours on me. And that's what I did to myself. I went through those things so that I could learn how to not self-sacrifice as I got on this journey. That's why I'm so grateful that I even had the courage to even go on this self-discovery journey, because it's very empowering. This journey empowers you when you put into yourself, when you love on yourself. it empowers you. So now when those people come to you, ain't nobody dumping nothing on you that you don't want.
Right.
You can stop them right then and there. I mean, I love you. I hear what you're saying, but I don't have the capacity to deal with this. And then you just let them be. Whether they get upset about it, that's okay. That's the them problem. Remember, you just made a decision and you took that burden off your shoulder. Because when you trying to save the world, you asking for burdens. You just burden. You just cause suffering to yourself because that comes with a lot of responsibility. And other people aren't your responsibility.
Right.
The world isn't your responsibility, especially if you're not taking care of yourself. How can you take care of the world if you first take care of you? You are the foundation. Self-care is the foundation to all your connections, your relationships, whatever. You can't show up no place if you ain't even taking care of yourself. How's your relationship with yourself? You upset that you got people in your circle that they flaw, they not, you don't feel like they your friends, you don't feel like they really rocking with you, but you ain't even rocking with you.
Right.
How can you expect something from people that you're not even giving yourself? And that's why people have to be careful with these expectations that they place on people, because are you meeting your own expectations? How
Right.
can you place an expectation on someone else? That's quite selfish. That's quite selfish. But to be taught that you have to take on other people's, traumas or whatever, their baggage. That's, what is that even called? Like, was that supposed to be a good thing? I'm genuinely asking, was that supposed to be a good thing? Because
Right.
it's a genuine question. Was that really supposed to be a good thing?
Right. I mean, I think, it really just comes down to defining for yourself and making that distinction for yourself between what is helping someone else and what's dishonoring yourself. Because
Yeah.
it's like once we get clear on that, then we're not going to go but so far in dishonoring ourselves. Because it's like, hold up a second. What am I doing here? I'm playing myself. I'm calling it, I'm helping you, but I'm over here acting a fool. So it's like we really have to come to a place where we're able to make that distinction, because I, like you, was the kind of person, people could always come to me, people could always tell me their stuff, telling me about all this stuff, and then I would take on all this stuff and feel like I had to try to help them figure out how to fix it. And it's like, that is not my job, that's not my role, it's not my responsibility. And I think that religion plays a major role in us having this distorted perception of what helping people looks like, and placing on us all this self-sacrificing ideals that are nonsense, utter nonsense. You know what I mean? And so,
Yeah.
I mean, for me, I believe in God, I'm a follower of Jesus, but I don't consider myself religious. I believe I'm a follower of Jesus. Like, I'm paying attention to his movement and I'm trying to model it, not trying to impose my will or some unrealistic standard on others. How dare I? You know what I mean? That is disrespectful, and honestly, it's contrary to the
Yes.
true teaching. So it's like, we really have to be able to define for ourselves what's appropriate for us. Like, does this, if it don't make sense, I don't care how many generations your family been doing it. I don't care where you heard it from. It could be church, here, there, the news, whatever. If it ain't working for you and it don't feel right, you have to examine it. And I'm not saying that means immediately denounce what you've known, but you need to sit down and examine it. Because when things are hurting us, that means something's up.
Yeah.
Like, something's up. And not to say that life is all roses and peaches, but a lot of it should be a lot more than we're experiencing. You know what I mean? There are some hard parts and there is some painful stuff, but we should not be inflicting pain on ourselves.
Yeah.
And I mean, I know one of the scriptures that's coming to mind right now is about how, like, when Jesus says, somebody hits you, you turn the other cheek. Okay, that's about forgiveness. He didn't say go out and start looking for people to abuse you or
Yeah.
put a sign on your chest saying, come and smack me around. You know what I mean? And it's like we be getting it real twisted, going out
All the
seeking
way.
people to mistreat us. Oh, what? You got lots of problems? Come dump it on me. It's a free for all. It's like, no, that's
Yeah.
not nothing healthy. You know what I mean? You are as valuable as the next person, and you deserve the same measure of respect as the next person. But it's for you to acknowledge that so that way you treat yourself appropriately like you deserve. And if you don't know that about yourself, that you are worthy of love, you are worthy of the same amount of care that you think the next person is. And it's for you to put yourself in that place within your own mind. You know what I mean? Honor yourself. And that's the only way other people will respect you. If you respect yourself, you got to make sure they respect you. You know what I
That's
mean?
right.
And that's not about being like, oh, with a nasty attitude or, giving people negative energy. It's about you just conduct yourself with respect. If they not following suit, remove yourself from the area. Like they don't get to be blessed with the gift of your presence. Simple as that. You know what I mean? Because I know now, I I listen to people. You know what I mean? I'm the type of person I do care. But I'm real quick to be like, oh, what? You got that problem? Let's pray about it. We can pray right now. You want to pray? Like, and then I walk away because I did my part. Like, I did the best thing that I could do to help you. Now I'm free from it. Like now it don't got nothing else to do with me. That's now it's between you and God.
Mm-hmm.
It's not our role to take on anybody else's problems because we cannot fix it for them. Because
Yeah.
ultimately, it's this inner game that's controlling the outer game. So what
Yeah.
situation they're finding themselves in most likely is a manifestation of something going on inside them. And it's going to keep repeating itself. So whether you
Yeah.
help them this one time, what about next time? They're going to come to you every time that comes up and they're not making no internal changes. So ultimately, you really not helping them.
Nope.
It's like you need to go buy them a book, a self-help book. Then that's really helping them. Oh, what, you going through a crisis? Here's this book. Go fix your life.
That's a good one. You
I'm
going through
just playing.
something?
That's not
I
nice,
got
but
something for you. Yeah. No,
you
LJ, sometimes that is the best way to help. Look, I can't help, but this is something that helped me. You pick up that book and you hand it to. But on like a serious note, yes, like I think a lot of people misrepresent like those teachings and stuff because they feel like, oh yeah, I gotta self-sacrifice. But it's like you're sacrificing yourself. You're doing all these things for people. You want to live like Jesus, but you're complaining. And then you have the resentment. You're walking the walk that Jesus walked, so you say, and you're doing everything by the book, but you're suffering. But who you gonna blame? You gonna blame the people that you saving, or you gonna blame yourself?
mm,
Most people are gonna blame the people that they're helping because now what happens when you're self-sacrificing and you're doing for people, you're helping, you ain't getting nothing in return. When you finally blow up, you're gonna be upset. You're gonna feel like I'm a victim.
right.
Injustice has been done to me. When in fact, you did the injustice to yourself.
Mm,
No one outside of you has control over that. That's a side job. So we as people got to learn to take accountability for the part that we play in our own suffering. And I know that may be hard to hear for some people because they like, well, this person did this to me. They didn't have to do that. And like, yeah, they probably did, but you have no control over that.
right.
You have no control over anything outside of you. So you can't get mad when things don't turn out how you want it. The people around you not showing up the way that you want them to show up. You can't control that. And don't think that just because you're helping them that that's what's going to be given in return, especially if you neglecting yourself.
Right.
And now you're mad, you're bitter, you want to get back at someone, you feel hurt behind other people's action, you feel hurt by the world, the people outside of you, but you got to understand where that came from. That started with you. So it's like the minute you take back your power, you start to pour into yourself, you really start to take care of yourself this time, then you're going to tell everybody else,
Right.
you
Kick
got
rock.
you got to figure this thing out for yourself. I don't stop my life. I don't put me on hold. I have been neglecting me. And like you said, your health was the reason that forced you to really start to take care of yourself, because that's what's going to happen. Now,
Yes.
either you do it by choice or by force, because your body, your mind, all that, how you feel, those are indicators to let you know where you are with yourself. If you're neglecting yourself, your mental, your emotional, all of that, your physical, you're going to find out, you're going to have those warning signs.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to kill yourself to save someone else.
Right. Right. I mean, it makes no sense. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, where did we get that understanding that that's what's required of us?
Yep.
And it's like, I don't know where, because I know even with looking at like Jesus, if you believe Jesus said he was the Messiah, the one that came. So he was the sacrifice. That means that's it. It's done. Like, you don't gotta sacrifice yourself. Nobody gotta sacrifice themselves to that degree, because it's done. So it's not for us to think we're somebody's savior, because that's already finished. I can be helpful, I can be kind, I can show love, but we have to really examine and understand what those things even mean, because we come from these distorted perceptions thinking that, oh, love hurts, or love is all about sacrifice, and it's like, that's not true. Maybe the world would have you think that, but real love, you know what I mean, real love always has your best interest in mind. And if something is making you feel threatened, or like it don't have your best interest, then that's not love, and stop calling it that. And the only way we begin to understand these things is through this self-discovery journey, starting to really learn to love ourselves, learning to put ourselves first, so we can see, wait a second, I am treating myself with love. So then why would I let this person do this and call it love? Like, do I look like a fool? You know what I mean? And it's like, oftentimes we put ourselves in these situations where we feel like the victim. And the sad reality is that you're not nobody's victim unless you're a child, or you've been, violated in some way. Don't get me wrong. There's attacks, there's physical things that occur where, yes, you are definitely a victim in those circumstances. However, for the most part, if you grown, you ain't no victim. You sitting there and letting this behavior or this pattern be inflicted on you. You know what I mean? So it's for you to get up and recognize that you deserve better. And that's all about the self. That's all about being selfish, if you even want to call it that. Because I mean, I'm calling it self-love. It's about, do you love yourself enough to say no to other people? Do you love yourself enough to shut things down when it's getting out of control and it does not have your best in mind? And it's for us to really get clear on that. Hold on a second. If something is not in my best interest and doesn't have my best interest in mind, then it's for me to be vigilant and draw a boundary for myself to protect me from that. You know what I mean? Because who is it that's going to protect you? You out here thinking that you're helping people, but really you're doing harm to yourself. And it's like, that's not what your job is. It's not your job to do harm to yourself. And honestly, that oftentimes comes from these distorted perceptions, because if you sat down and really thought about it and had to answer the question, is your intention to sit here and do harm to yourself, you more than likely would say no. You know what I mean? So it's like, we really have to spend enough time with ourselves to even get that clarity. Like, wait a second, I'm allowing harm to myself. Why am I doing that? And that only comes from focusing on self and going on this self-discovery journey. So then you start realizing that things that you were tolerating before are not okay and they're not healthy for you.
Yep. Yep. And we wrapping it up, y'all. We at the hour mark. So before we go, we like to leave y'all with like some words of encouragement. I just want to encourage the viewers to take a moment to just self-evaluate and see where you are on your journey and see if you've been prioritizing yourself. Check in with yourself, your thoughts, your emotions. How you feeling? If you're feeling overburdened and stuff like that, then that's an indicator, you may have overextended or something. But you have to make sure self-care is not on a Friday, it's not on a Saturday, it's no 2 days out the month. Self-care is every day.
Right.
That's a everyday job. Don't you wait till no weekend to take care of yourself. You have to take care of yourself every day. And I know we all adults, we grown, we gotta pay bills, all this stuff, we gotta work. But if you telling me you ain't got 5 minutes within the day to fit time in to check in with yourself, to calm yourself, whatever you need to do to get yourself together, then you need to reevaluate that. That's a clear indicator that you're not prioritizing yourself. To feel like you don't have time to relax, check in with yourself, woosah, to drop everything, you may be slipping on your self-care.
Mm-hmm.
And remember, it's an everyday practice. It's not just no one day thing. You have to take care. You are with you every day, everywhere you go. It's just self.
Right. Absolutely.
So take care of yourself.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I just want to close out with, you don't owe nobody nothing. Like, you don't owe nobody nothing. Your main responsibility in this life is to be your best self. And that's the only way that you can make a positive impact on others, is by being your best self. And with that, you have to pour into yourself. So that's who you owe everything to, is to yourself. So pour into you, so that way you have something to pour out. And that is that.
That's right, y'all. And like we always say, whether you've been on your journey or you just beginning, it's always room for self-growth. So until next time, y'all have a good one.
All right. See you next time. Peace.